Hey, it's Big Phil from Big Phil Speaks. What it do? What it do is a Friday afternoon where I'm at in the world, and wanted to tap in and discuss a topic that hopefully don't ruffle feathers, but maybe it'll, you know, bring more conversation to the situation. And it's basically churches. Do they actually help our communities, or do they hurt or hinder our communities? Again, churches, do they really help our communities, or do they hurt or hinder our communities? Let me preface this by saying that my relationship with God is intact. I'm in no way questioning God, what He's done for me, or what He's done for anybody watching this video, no matter how you pray to God. Also, let me preface this by saying that I'm only speaking about the Christian faith as far as churches, because I'm not a member of the Jewish faith, so I don't know what the inner workings of synagogues, as far as outreach, inreach, et cetera, et cetera. Same thing as I'm not really speaking to the Muslim community, because I don't practice Islam, and I'm not a parishioner or a member of any mosque, and I don't know the inner workings of a mosque. And I definitely don't want to offend anybody by speaking out of turn on something that I have no understanding, I have no experience with, or really interactions with, or whatever. So with that being said, my question is this. Churches, number one, are to reach souls, save souls, bring souls to Christ, bring souls closer to God. Churches are supposed to be community-orientated instruments of change. Churches are supposed to not only operate on the inner doors of the congregation that's in the church, but to step outside the church to affect the communities in which they are located. With that being said, there's a lot of things that I guess a lot of questions I've been asking myself, or what have you. Mainly, let's put little churches to the side, bop, that way. Let's put mega churches to the side, that way, bop. There's enough medium-sized churches in every city, inner city, hood, town, parish, villa, with enough membership, enough money coming in, that there should be, one, no hungry folks in that area, or in the area of the church. Homelessness should be tampered down to this much. Joblessness, or earning income, should be at a minimal in neighborhoods surrounding churches. Why do I say this? Because there are enough of a diverse background in those churches that the churches can start a trade program, an occupational training program, an entrepreneurial / small business training program. Because in every church you got people that are self-employed, that own their own businesses, that work for the government, that cut hair, that cook, that clean, that do so many different things, either by way of their own business or by way of working for an established business and or government entity, that there should be programs set up within each church that would teach folks to be fishermen. You know the saying, give somebody a fish, they'll eat for a day. Teach them how to fish, they'll eat for life. Or they'll eat more often. Teach them to be fishermen, they'll eat for life. And what I've noticed through my I'm 46, through my years, and I ain't been in church all my life, but I've been in church enough and seen enough to know that church members from the hierarchy on down will come approach you. I think you'll be good for this. I think you'll be excellent in this. God told me you were called to do this. We need your assistance in doing this. There's enough of that to go on that goes on in churches to where you can build the proper programs for your members and your parishioners. To again, one, affect the economic change in your community. Get more people working, get more people starting businesses, which will in help those stay out of homelessness. Each church has somebody that has some kind of economic, financial background that can teach wealth building strategies. That's up to debate. Some will say, no, they don't, but I beg to differ. Two, there's always a church dinner for some church function. Always. Church dinner, church luncheon. And every blue moon, whether it be Christmas, Easter, some kind of outreach where they'll feed the community once, maybe twice, 2 times a year. Most churches, and I'm not going to say all, but most churches have the wherewithal that they can set up a program to where if anybody in their community wants to eat, needs to eat, they will be able to eat at least 2 meals a day. With all the money that comes in, 2 meals a day. There's also the wherewithal to get more people who are addicted to substances and things of that nature, the proper help that they need, the ongoing help that they need. People say, well, Phil, why are you concerned? Because one, Jesus went out. Jesus did not sit inside the temple 24/7. Jesus went out amongst the people, heard their cries, heard their problems and situations and issues, and effectively dealt with those that he could or would. In the Bible, it says that when Jesus came back and he spoke to his disciples, he basically charged them with abilities to do what he's done and then some. If you follow that lineage, supposedly bishops, pastors, etc., ministers, etc., should fall down that tree of charges. And if Jesus could feed 5,000 with a couple of fish, a couple of loaves of bread, then how much more could a pastor, a bishop, etc., from each church in each neighborhood be able to feed their congregation in the communities they're a part of. How much more could that happen, or should that happen? Just from a biblical base now. Just from a biblical base. Now, from a realistic point of view, the monies that come in for tithes, offerings, etc., go to way more than just the church buildings, the mortgages, upkeep of the properties, and the stipends that pastors are supposed to get, or the income pastors are supposed to get. However, most churches, the pastors living on the high horse, while there are those in their congregation and around their churches, outside their churches, that are struggling with their faith, struggling in their bills, struggling with keeping a home over their head, etc., etc. Now, I'm not talking about giving people hands out. I'm talking about giving people a hand up. Helping people get to where they need to be. And think about it. If the church did that, how much more would their churches be filled? With members and with money. Because if you change the circumstances of the neighborhood and bring more money into the neighborhood, and the church was the catalyst for doing so, how much more would they be willing to donate freely? Be willing to tithe freely into that church, to another church organization, charities, etc., etc. There's more thought put into church meetings and convocations and anniversaries and things of that nature, which most of them are filled with a whole bunch of hoopla and BS. I said that. Where they're asking people, well, I need this amount of people to donate $1,000, stand in this line, $500, stand in this line, da 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 da. And where does that money go? Who is it helping to affect? Now, churches have it down packed to affect the emotion and somewhat the mental process of a man and woman, especially when they're hurt or broken. They have perfected how to touch that soul emotionally. What they are lacking, in my opinion, is the wherewithal to touch that soul in a real way, physically, in not just physically, but in everyday life. Everyday life. Little churches, little storefront churches, they just getting started or what have you, got 12, 20 members. They're not quite there yet. Mega churches, that's a whole nother animal. There's no way on God's green earth, no in hell, or however you want to put it, that you can't tell me with all the money that they bring in, that in the area where they exist, a region, not just the little town or city, a region should be more well off. It's people. Now, yeah, you can't change everybody. You can't help everybody. Everybody don't want to be helped. But there's a lot of people that do, that want the help, need the help. And I'm not talking about, like I said, a handout, but a help up. A lot of people that want to get jobs, that can't get jobs for one reason or another, whether it be they come home from incarceration, whether it's lack of education, where the church could be a catalyst in helping those folks, not just giving them a piece of paper with a couple addresses on it. Go apply there. I know somebody that said that they're hiring over. No. I mean, far as re-educating those or re-educating or better educating those that lack education or short of education. 1. 2, training, teaching, providing the tutelage, the mentorship for those that want to do trades, whether it be barbering, cosmetology, carpentry, electrical, you name it. If those programs were instituted from the church outwards in outreach programs, because that's supposed to be part of church's outreach, how much difference would that make in the communities? How much self-sufficiency would that create for the communities? What about those that know how to make them plate lunches and dinners, which y'all readily will get used and get to cook in your kitchens for those anniversaries? However, 1, if they're not already a business, you won't help them become a business. 2, if they are a business, you won't put them in place or utilize their services in the church, not just for cooking food for the church, but to teach somebody else or to guide somebody else in the way so that they can open a business. Not necessarily just cooking, but something else. I've seen it. I've seen it for myself. So I'm not just talking out the side of my neck. I'm not bitter, but I'm talking from a real point of view. The point of my channel is to invoke conversation. Not just so we can keep talking about the problems, but so that we can start bringing up solutions and working towards those solutions in our communities. But the thing is, just like with every other problem in our communities, if we keep sweeping it under the rug and act like it don't exist or that it ain't happening, we doing ourselves a disservice. We doing our neighborhoods a disservice. We doing our family disservice. We being of disservice to God, first and foremost. The first step to correcting a wrong, righting a wrong, or getting right in something is to, 1, admit that you're wrong or admit that a fault has happened. We as a community need to put it all on the table. Stop. Shh. We don't talk about that. Shh. We don't talk about that. Touch not God's anointed. Everybody in the pulpit ain't God's anointed. Some people are just gifted speakers. Some people are just gifted actors. Some people just know how to pontificate and expound, or just kick straight up and down, kick the bobo in the right form and fashion to affect emotional adulation or adoration. Let's keep it 100. Everybody that's in your choir that sing ain't anointed. They're gifted, talented. Everybody ain't anointed. Let me say this though. Just because somebody's falling short on something doesn't mean God can't use them either. If he can use an ass or a burning bush, he damn sure can use a broken vessel or someone in sin. When he knows what their heart is in the way of wanting to get out of that sin. But when it comes to the church structure, the organizations, the different denominations under the Christian side alone, all the churches that exist in every city, every town, there's no reason why a family should go broke, go hungry, go shelterless, and not know how in some way or shape or form to provide for their families. If the school system in the area the church is in is lacking, not teaching right, the church should be the first on the front line of getting that right. One. Because believe it or not, a church is a community organization. I would say the number one community organization is just splintered into different factions. One. You all, when you see this video, let me know what you think. Do me a favor, drop your comment. Whether you believe what I say, you hate what I say, you love what I said, whatever the case might be, drop your comment below. Like this video or dislike this video. Share this video, because like I said, the number one goal is to get commentary, to get a discussion going, some dialogue, some solutions. And also hit the subscribe button. I'm on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so I can start doing this in a live setting as far as live chat, so I can really get your responses in and out properly. So help me with that if you would. And I could go on and on with this, but I'll leave it for another day, another time. Until that time, I'm not anti-you. I'm pro-me, with an emphasis on building we. So the next time we can get together, let that marinate in your melon, and until the next time we can get together, chop it up, and have a tay-to-tay. Until that day, Big Phil say, I holla.